Alright, welcome back to this week's lesson, Levi. So last week we talked about, in the last video, we talked about, getting to from G to D, couple different ways to do that. We've still been working on, getting things together with the strum, and that's what we want to keep working on, is making sure that your timing is not being thrown off by any fancy stuff you're doing on a fretboard. Today, what I think we'll probably do, we've been doing just a basic simple G run, So I think what we're going to do is kind of extend that a little bit and have like more of a realistic G run. And this isn't going to be the complete G run that I use, but it is going to be one that's a little bit bigger than that. And for that one, you're going to keep this, but you're going to do something before that. And all that is you're going to come back to the first fret and do a slide, and you're going to hit on that first fret A. Okay. And what happens is on this particular run, you don't want to use the rest stroke. And in other words, leave your pick here on the D string just yet. It comes later because you're going to keep moving until you get to that last note. And all you do is you're going to do a downstroke, then an immediate up on the D string, and then take and do what you've been doing. And then on that D, when you hit that pull off, that's when this string or this pick rests on the G string. So it's going to look like this. Okay, so if you look at my right hand and this hand, the picking hand, it's going to go down, up, and this you don't want this to be like a fast slide, like you want it to be, dum, dum. So it's going to be down, up, and then. Sometimes I use a rest stroke, sometimes I don't. That's up to you. But if you have problems, making sure you're hitting the right strings, I do recommend hitting the rest stroke immediately after hitting that D string pull off. And then it rests here, and then you got the G. Okay. So if we're playing this along with the strum that we've been working on, it'll sound like this. So that's what it's going to sound like, and here's what it would sound like with the timing. Now, just with this one, all we had was 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. Okay. Well, this one, let's see if I can get. It may take me a couple tries, but it's going to the count's going to be something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. 4 and 1. So we're starting with a 4. 4 and 1. 2, 3, 4 and a 1. 2, 3, 4 and a 1. Now once again, don't forget the picking is down, up, down, down. If you hit that rest stroke, it just feels like you get a lot more control out of that. Going to do it like this. If you hit one of these, it's immediately after that downstroke. After this is when you'll start doing that run. So it's or you can immediately eliminate that after that hammer on. But if you eliminate that, it doesn't sound right because the strumming now has disappeared. So with that, we can now switch back and forth. Let's try switching back and forth between the two that we were using, because we don't want to forget this one. Let's say we counted and we missed the opportunity to get that, that. Believe it or not, just a little bit of a time can make a big difference if you miss it. And believe it or not, a little bit of time is just enough time to make that up later on if you need to. What I'm saying is, it probably didn't make any sense. What I'm saying is, like, if I miss the 4 count, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, I missed it. Then I've got just a split second, and that's really maybe not a lot of time, but that's enough time to catch yourself and immediately go to that. Okay, it's only the difference between one finger or one string. Excuse me, one string is going to be on the same fret. So if I miss that 4, and hitting that, I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, oh, I'm about to miss it. You know, just go right down to that one. So it's enough time to get you, you know, to make sure that you can kind of save yourself from any licks that you might have missed. So we want to try this with that in both licks, so we can have both of them, you know, whenever we need them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 1. Now the next one, 3, 4, and oops. See, I missed it. I missed it. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 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 1. Now, if you want to, you can elect to eliminate the, because it's happening so close to that G run, that you can you know, decide to eliminate that if you want to, and just hit the bass note and do this on the shorter one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 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 1. So the 3 is always the bass. 3, 4, and a 1. It can be just the regular bass or the quick, you know, little hammer-on bass there. Now the advantage of using this is, once again, we're containing this within that rhythm so that we don't lose that. As you speed things up, and I do recommend that you probably start speeding things up as you get this. Now you can go online and find an online metronome, or you can just, you know, maybe you have one laying around somewhere. But you'll kind of figure out where you're at that's comfortable. 2. And it'll be a click. Click, 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 click. Okay? And you find that, and you kind of match the metronome to that. And then from there, you're going to speed it up. So instead of click, 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 you would bump it up by 10. And you'd be click, 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 click. Okay. So as you go on, you'll want to start speeding this up so that you can make sure that you get yourself ready to, when you get in a jam situation, when you get in a live jam situation or playing live or whatever you're doing, that you'll be ready for that, you know, at higher speeds. And so the G run that we just did, we can do that at the same higher speed. So we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So the cool thing is it's so mathematically correct. I mean, the beat is so in sync that the 4 is this. The 1 is always that open G. So 4 and a 1, 4 and a 1, 4 and a 1, or click, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so you have that system there that you can always go back on, and most people don't realize that it is that synced up so much. It's that tight that you know, when you're playing guitar, it seems like, oh, you're just coming off with stuff off the top of your head. But it's not only about all these licks. You've got to know where to insert them, and that count is, you know, essential to be able to know where to insert and get in and get out of licks. Okay, so after that one, that downstroke resets everything, and we get to start this all over and start a count. 1, 3, 4, what this helps us to do is now we can use this, and we can speed that up. Like I said earlier, we sped it up. And what we can do now is use this in conjunction with the other licks that we have. So we want to build a little bit at a time without overwhelming anything you may have not learned just yet. The good thing about these private lessons is that you can go back and watch them at your own pace. So let's try to use this new G run in conjunction with going to that C or going to the D, and we can use that with that same strum. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. Now the other thing is when you're putting it on the end of a phrase, like 2, 3, 4, and a 1. So it's going to start on the 2. 1, 2, and a 3. Okay, so you kind of got to insert in there a little quicker than you normally would. So let me see. I'm going to play something going to C. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 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 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So at the end of a phrase, you're going to do it like that. But if we're just practicing it to count, we'll do it on the 4 because that gives you 3 beats to kind of get ready for it. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3. Okay? So using this, I can kind of count what we just did, what we was counting, and you can rewind this if you want to. Having to go to a C, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, so you can either use this shape, okay, open A, and usually when I'm doing that, it's like the whole Carter style family thing again. It's all downstrokes. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, and we're going back down. And, okay, so that's all downstroke. Da, 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 da. But with that G run, that little bit of a G run, it gives us the opportunity to go ahead and have an upstroke, and so that not everything's downstrokes. So you can go back and figure out how I got to the D with a count and everything. But what I want to do is, before I forget it, show you something a little else that's something else that's a little cool to use in a lot of these bluegrass songs, and that would be going to an F. Now normally we go to a G7, and we go ahead and count so you can get an idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. We go to a G7 when we're going to a C. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or we would walk it up from a G7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But another thing I like to do instead of a G7, and I'm not sure if you're aware of that chord. I think you know it, but if not, all you do is you're going to replace these 2 fingers with the middle 2. So now the ring finger is going to be on 3rd fret E. The 2nd finger here, the middle finger, is going to be on the 2nd fret A, and then you're going to put this finger down on the bottom string here, this E string on the 1st fret. It's good. It's good, like a cowboyish, western type feel. And that leads us into that C. Okay, so we're having this sound happen. Okay, so it's kind of walking down just as if we were walking down from a C to an F or C to G. It's doing this. It's coming from a G, going backwards to a C instead of going forwards. And going forwards would look like this. Going backwards, it looks like this. And also, you can use that G7 here. You can put your pinky down on the 3rd fret, right underneath this ring finger on the 3rd fret of the D string. It's the F note, which is the same as this high string here. So if we use that, it would look like this. Okay, so we're kind of, you know, getting to that C going backwards, walking down, descending instead of ascending. But in place of that G7, I like to use an F. And if you go back to my YouTube video, you just go to my YouTube channel that you're watching this from, maybe type in Troublesome Waters. I use this F a lot. And this is just a simple version of an F, and all you're doing is you're going to go to that C, the C that we, you know, all know and love, that what I call a cheater C. You take and you move it down one more set of strings. And now you're going to be focused on playing from the D string down. And what I'm doing is ever so subtly taking the finger here, the middle finger. When I'm down here, it's kind of tighter, you know, your fingers are closer together, so you have to kind of move around to adjust. Well, the advantage of that is this finger right here is actually muting. The very tip of it right here is muting the A string. So if I accidentally play it, that's okay. You can't even hear it. So I can go, instead of that G7 like this, I can actually, that's an F note, I can actually hit the F chord. So if I did, you know, like I'll Fly Away. Some glad morning when this life is alright. So that goes in place of a G7. And it would sound like this with a G7. Some glad morning when this life is alright. Okay? Now, let's put in that new G run with I'll Fly Away. Okay? So we've got this F. Okay, so let's slow that down and put that new G run in there with that. Some glad morning when this life is alright, fly away. So right after you say away, but if we count that, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it still lands on that 2. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if you're trying to end a phrase, or you know, it's usually going to start on that second beat. The other thing I was going to say was when you get to this, remember how we played the C and we did the alternating bass thing? Well, it's the same note here as it is here. So you can do this and use that as the bass if you want to. Okay, so now let's use that new G run and this G run in the same song. So I'm just going to go over the verse and show you where you can kind of interchange those. Now also when I'm doing this, make sure to watch, maybe you can rewind this, watch this hand what it's doing, and watch the picking hand later on what it's doing, so you can kind of get an idea of the up and down strokes and things like that. But this hand especially, because it's kind of on autopilot for me. I've done this for so long and for so many years, my ear naturally hears what's going to sound good when I do this. It's going to kind of insert that whenever my ears recognize a good spot for it. So my hand's kind of on autopilot, so I don't even know I'm doing half this stuff sometimes. So carefully watch this hand and see what it does, all right? And then we're going to, right now we're going to go ahead and experiment with inserting those two G licks, okay? So we're going to use the same song, I'll Fly Away. Some glad morning when this life is old, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. Okay, so I used on the last part and the first part. The other thing was this was an E minor, so that's what happened when I went down there. Now the cool thing is with a song with lyrics, it's a lot easier to keep your count, because some of these songs will actually change chords, not only just the count, but the actual a certain word. So if I was to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so it changed on the number, but notice the words they change on. Some glad morning when this life is o'er, I'll fly away. Okay, so that one was away, the second syllable of away. A lot of times they'll change on, if it's a one syllable, like when this life is o'er, and then I'll, it's one syllable, so it's going to change on the word. But if you have a word with many syllables, like away is 2 syllables, it could happen on one of the other syllables, the or the away. So that's a good way to kind of pinpoint when you're listening to a song where it's happening. That kind of keeps the count for you. If you noticed, when I started singing the numbers, then I went back to the lyrics kind of fall in the same place as the numbers do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Some glad morning when this life is o'er. So when this life is just a little, it's kind of happening between the main hits of the beat. Okay, so if I was to count it, if I could count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4, 1. So that 1 and a 2 and a 3. When this life is o'er, it's kind of all the extra stuff in between. But that's a good little technique, is to listen for, in a song, listen for the words, listen for the chord changes. Like if I was to put the guitar down here and actually put it over here where you couldn't see my hand, you can listen for the chord change. Okay, so just so that you're not listening to something you've been listening to for the last few minutes, let's do this in C. Okay, so there's my C, and now be listening for the chord changes. Okay, and what word they're going to change on. Some glad morning when this life is o'er, I'll fly away. So you can hear the chord changes, and you can go back and kind of dissect what words they changed on. And from there, in relation to the key of C, you would have to figure out what are my main chords in the key of C. In this case, you would have a C, C7, an F, back to C. Okay? So that's basically the lesson for this week, is to kind of incorporate the new G run into your playing. Now, what I'm thinking I may do is go ahead next week, and I'm saying this for your benefit and for mine, in case I forget I can go back and watch this video. For next week, I'm going to go ahead and probably add the C and the D version of this lick. And if you want to work on that yourself and try to figure it out, I encourage you to do that. If you think you can, do that, that by all means try that. I mean, it's good to sit down and try to experiment and learn new things, by yourself. But what I'll probably do is go over that and probably complete this G run. What we have so far is, there's another 1 or 2 notes in there that we could put in there to really make it sound really good. Okay, so let's see, 23 minutes. I'm hoping that the video here doesn't go kind of haywire like it did earlier last time. I think it went haywire around the 22-minute mark or something like that, so maybe the 25 minutes. So if it starts going haywire, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off and say that's it for this week. But for now, let's keep practicing. Let's keep working on that. Once again, you want to speed this up, okay? So you're comfortable with this, and you're getting bored, and so now it's time to bump up your speed a little bit. And if you don't have a metronome, let's just say this: if you don't have a metronome, you can use your foot if you can just get it to tapping on the same, beat that you need it to be. A lot of people have the problem with that though, because they can't get it working when they're trying to sing and trying to count and all this, and it kind of messes them up, which is why it's steady. I mean, it's good to have a steady reference like a metronome. And like I said, there's plenty of them online for free that you can access online. And if you don't have one, it'd be good, you can go down to the local music store and buy one for like $12 if that, a cheap metronome. To start playing with, okay? So let's try this in the sped up version, okay? 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. Here's where we started. 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's go go a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, F, 4, C, 2, 3, back to G, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, E minor, 2, G, 2, D, 2, 1. Now I'm not going to say anything. Let's just go ahead and you can kind of count with me. You'll be counting, and I'll go ahead and do all these other licks, and you can kind of figure out where they're going. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and stop. Once again, if you'll look on that little cog, I don't know which way it's going to show you, but it's usually on the right hand side of the video player, that little gear looking thing. A lot of times it will allow you to slow down the speed. So if you're having a problem with this, just click on the half speed and it should slow things down, depending on if this video has that on there or not. Some of them does, some of them don't. So I don't know exactly what the credential is for having that, but that's just a good idea. So I'm going to start you out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're getting ready to start the song. So, son, when this life is over, I'll fly away. Some last morning, when this life is over, I'll fly away. God's celestial shore, I'll fly away. Now that's very important when you hit that first thing. It's going to be a quick down up. So you might want to just practice that much. Now a lot of times I will let go of the whole chord and then just replace it, but sometimes you can just go. You can just kind of get that finger to come back here to that first fret. You can just leave the chord there. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes, you know, I prefer to do that every now and then. I don't know what, you know, just according to how you feel, I guess. So, once again, let's try to incorporate everything into this song that we've learned thus far, okay? Oh, before I forget, you can walk down to that E minor as well. Some glad morning when this life is o'er, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. So it's God's celestial shore. Once again, we have syllables there. One syllable, God's celestial. Oops, God's celestial shore. Now you can do that with these two fingers. God's celestial shore. Want to. So it's okay to completely hit that downstroke on that F sharp note there on the second fret. Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. What I'm usually doing there is, so it's a D, A, D, E, just to get me back instead of doing a bunch of downstrokes. Now the other thing is, you don't want it to be too crowded. You don't want to have, you know, I was walking to the sea, some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away. There's a lot going on there. You got so you might want to just settle for a shorter G so that you can have a little bit of breathing room there. Okay, so that's pretty much all I can think of this week. Next week we'll continue working on the D version of this lick and the C version, because it's a very good lick to have in C, and we'll go ahead and extend that G lick to be at its full maximum potential. In my opinion, it's the G lick that I use all the time. I mean, I always revert back to it. So that's what we'll focus on next week. Thanks so much for watching, Levi. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Hope it's meant a lot to you. Continue practicing doing these things with your rhythm so that you can have a nice tight pace and tight timing. It's very important. Try to get your metronome if possible. That way you don't have to worry about counting. You know, for right now, this lesson I'm counting, so that's giving you a point of reference. But like you said, you may not have internet access all the time, and you'll want to do this practice on your own, not just once or twice a week when you have that internet access. Okay, so thanks so much. I will see you next time, Levi. And so have a good week, and keep playing bluegrass guitar. You'll get better at it, trust me. And I'll talk to you next week for the last lesson of this month. And after that, probably you can just get a hold of me, and then you can let me know if you want to come in for the first part of next month, and we can kind of assess where you're at now, and kind of if it's still a little bit if it's maybe too beginner for you, or if you need to expand a little bit more other things, that's fine. Like you said, Wildwood Flower, we'll probably start working on it pretty soon. Probably after the next week, we'll probably work on Wildwood Flower for you. That way you can get a couple of these, licks under your belt, and you can find other places to use them. Definitely try these with all your bluegrass gospel songs, with any of the bluegrass songs that you're familiar with, that you've heard and that you like or that you want to learn. Try inserting these licks, try inserting the little walk-ups and walk-downs, finding the different chords that are used, all that stuff. It's all a part of playing bluegrass guitar. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next week for one more video, and then we'll go from there. Thanks a lot. Take care.